Hey folks, welcome back. Let's get real for a second. Not all betrayals are obvious. Some are loud, explosive, impossible to ignore. But the ones that cut the deepest? They're the ones disguised as love, disguised as care, disguised as just a mistake. Maybe you've been there. You trusted someone, gave them your loyalty, believed in their words. And then, little by little, things didn't add up. A lie here, a small betrayal there. Until one day, you wake up and realize you were never truly safe with them. See, forgiveness is powerful, but some betrayals, they don't deserve a second chance. Because once someone crosses these lines, they've already shown you exactly who they are. And if you let them stay, you're not giving them another chance. You're giving them another opportunity to do it again. So today, we're breaking down 7 betrayals in relationships that should never be forgiven. These are the ones that shatter trust, erode self-worth, and leave lasting scars if you let them slide. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly which behaviors are unforgivable and how to protect yourself from them. If you've ever experienced betrayal and you're ready to reclaim your power, drop a comment below and type, "I protect my peace." Let's see who's really done with second chances for the wrong people. Let's get into it. Number 1. Lies that destroy trust. All right, folks, let's talk about something Stoicism teaches us well. Trust is sacred. Without it, a relationship is nothing more than a fragile illusion, a structure built on sand, and nothing, absolutely nothing, shatters trust faster than a lie. Now, some people will say, but everyone lies sometimes, right? No, that's an excuse made by those who lack integrity. The Stoics believed in living with virtue, and one of the highest virtues is truth. As Marcus Aurelius once said, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." A lie is not just words. It is a betrayal of reality itself. It's an act that corrupts the foundation of your connection with someone. Because when someone lies to you, what they're really saying is, "I do not respect you enough to be honest. I care more about protecting myself than preserving our trust. I'd rather control the narrative than face the consequences of my actions." And let's be clear, lies never come alone. A single lie needs another to cover it, then another, and another. Before long, you find yourself questioning everything. Is anything they said true? Was it all just manipulation? You begin to doubt not only them, but also yourself. That's where the real damage happens. A dishonest person doesn't just lie to you. They make you question your own perception. They make you feel paranoid for noticing inconsistencies. They gaslight you into believing you're imagining things. And once you start doubting yourself, they have full control. Epictetus once said, "If someone succeeds in provoking you, realize that your mind is complicit in the provocation. A liar's greatest weapon is not the lie itself, but your willingness to believe in it." The moment you excuse dishonesty, you give them permission to deceive you again. Now, you might be thinking, but what if they regret it? What if they promise to change? Understand this. Trust is not a resettable game. Once it's broken, it never returns to its original state. A person who truly values you doesn't put themselves in a position where they have to apologize for lying in the first place. The real danger? When you forgive a lie, you set a dangerous precedent. You send the message that dishonesty has no real consequences. That means the next time they lie, it will be easier for them. And for you, the betrayal will hurt even more. So, what do you do when you realize someone has lied to you? You walk away, not in anger, not in revenge, but in self-respect. The Stoics teach us that we cannot control what others do, but we can control how we respond. You do not beg for truth. You demand it through your actions. If someone cannot be honest with you, they do not deserve access to you. Seneca once said, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a person perfected without trials." Pain, including the pain of betrayal, is a teacher. It reveals who is meant to walk with you on your journey and who is meant to be left behind. Now, let me ask you, Are you still making excuses for someone who has lied to you? Or are you ready to stand in your own power? If you value truth, drop a comment below and type, "I choose honesty." Let's see who's truly walking the Stoic path. And if this message resonated with you, hit that subscribe button and stick around. Because what comes next? It's a betrayal that's even more dangerous because it's disguised as love. Let's get into it. Number 2, disrespect in disguise. All right, folks, let's talk about something that's often overlooked. Disrespect that doesn't look like disrespect at first. See, most people think of disrespect as blatant insults, raised voices, or obvious mistreatment. But the truth is, the most dangerous kind of disrespect is the one that's subtle, the kind that hides behind jokes, casual dismissals, or quiet belittling. The Stoics teach us that how we allow others to treat us reflects how much we respect ourselves. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That means you can't always control how someone treats you, but you can control whether or not you tolerate it. And that's exactly what we need to talk about. The kind of disrespect that slowly erodes your confidence, that chips away at your dignity, and that, if ignored, can turn a relationship into something toxic. Let's break this down. Disrespect in disguise often starts small. It might be the sarcastic comments that sting just a little too much, the jokes that somehow always seem to put you down, or the way they dismiss your feelings with a simple, "You're overthinking it." You try to brush it off, but deep down, it leaves a mark. You start second-guessing yourself. You start wondering, am I too sensitive? Am I making a big deal out of nothing? And that's exactly how subtle disrespect works. It makes you doubt your own perception. It's not just about what they say. It's about how it makes you feel. And if you find yourself constantly justifying someone's behavior, constantly making excuses for why they treat you the way they do, that's a sign that something isn't right. Now, let's get even deeper. One of the most common disguises for disrespect is humor. Ever heard someone say something hurtful and then follow it up with, "Relax, I'm just joking," or "You're too sensitive"? That's not a joke. It's a test. A test to see how much they can get away with. And if you let it slide, guess what? It gets worse. The jokes get sharper, the dismissals get colder, and before you know it, you're in a relationship, whether romantic or platonic, where you feel small, unheard, and undervalued. The Stoics believe that your environment shapes your character. Seneca said, "Associate with those who will make a better man of you." That means choosing to be around people who uplift you, who respect you, and who don't make you feel like you have to shrink yourself just to keep the peace. So, what do you do when you recognize disguised disrespect? You call it out. You don't have to be aggressive. You don't have to engage in conflict. But you do have to stand firm. Something as simple as, "I don't appreciate that," or "That didn't sit right with me," or is enough to let them know that you see what they're doing and that you won't tolerate it. But here's the real test. If they respect you, they'll adjust. If they don't, they'll gaslight you, make you feel crazy for even bringing it up. And that's your answer. A person who truly cares about you won't make you feel like a fool for expecting basic respect. Now, let's talk about the other way disguised disrespect shows up, through control. Have you ever been around someone who subtly undermines your decisions? Maybe it's a partner who always has a better way of doing things, making you feel like your choices aren't valid. Maybe it's a friend who constantly talks down to you, offering advice that feels more like criticism. Or maybe it's a boss who never outright says you're incompetent, but makes sure you never feel good enough. That's not support. That's disrespect disguised as concern. And here's where Stoicism comes in again. Epictetus said, "The key is to keep company only with people who uplift you, whose presence calls forth your best. That means recognizing when someone's energy is bringing you down instead of lifting you up. And when you see it, you have to make a choice. Do you stay, hoping they'll change? Or do you value yourself enough to walk away? Because here's the truth. If you don't demand respect, you won't get it. And if you allow someone to slowly chip away at your confidence, they will. Not because you deserve it, but because people will always test your boundaries to see what they can get away with. So now, let me ask you, have you ever ignored subtle disrespect, only to regret it later? If you're done tolerating disguised disrespect, drop a comment below and type, "I demand respect." And if this message resonated with you, hit that subscribe button and stick around. Because next, we're diving into a betrayal that's even harder to spot. Manipulation hidden as love. Let's get into it. Number 3, manipulation and emotional control. All right, folks, let's get into something even more dangerous than outright disrespect. Manipulation and emotional control. Unlike obvious betrayals, this one is subtle, it's slow, it's calculated, and if you're not careful, you won't even realize it's happening until you've lost yourself completely. The Stoics believed that true freedom comes from mastering your own emotions, not letting others dictate them. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." And that's exactly what manipulation does. It robs you of your freedom, convincing you that your emotions, your thoughts, and your actions are no longer your own. So, what does manipulation actually look like? It doesn't always come in the form of obvious control. It's not just someone telling you what to do. It's the little things. It's when they guilt trip you for having boundaries. It's when they make you feel like you're the problem every time you bring up an issue. It's when they twist the truth so well that you start doubting your own memory. Sound familiar? That's not love. That's control. One of the most common forms of manipulation is gaslighting. This is when someone makes you question your own reality. They lie, deny, twist facts, and convince you that your emotions aren't valid. You catch them in a lie, suddenly you're crazy for even bringing it up. You call them out on their behavior. Now, you're too sensitive. Over time, you stop trusting yourself. And once that happens, they have full control. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Meaning, the moment you recognize manipulation, you take your power back. But here's the thing. Manipulative people are experts at keeping you emotionally hooked. Think about this. Have you ever been in a relationship or friendship where someone constantly played the victim? Every time you tried to express your feelings, somehow the conversation always turned back to their pain, their struggles, their excuses. Before you know it, you're the one apologizing, even though they're the one who hurt you. That's not an accident. That's a tactic. Because when someone plays the victim, they make it impossible for you to hold them accountable. And once you stop holding them accountable, they can do whatever they want. Now, let's talk about another form of manipulation: silent treatment and emotional withholding. See, a lot of people think manipulation is all about words, but sometimes it's about silence. If someone constantly ignores you, withdraws affection, or suddenly acts cold whenever you don't do what they want, that's not space, that's punishment. They're training you, conditioning you to behave the way they want by making you fear their absence. And that's dangerous. Seneca once said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." And manipulators know this. They don't even have to say anything, because once they've trained your mind, you'll do all the suffering on your own. You'll start questioning yourself before they even have to. You'll walk on eggshells, afraid of setting them off. And that's when they know they have complete control. So, how do you break free? First, recognize it. If someone constantly makes you question your reality, if you always feel guilty for standing up for yourself, if you're scared of their reactions, that's not a healthy connection. That's control. And second, reclaim your autonomy. That means you stop justifying, you stop explaining, you stop trying to prove yourself to someone who is committed to misunderstanding you. You step back, detach, and remind yourself that your emotions are yours. No one else gets to dictate them. Epictetus said, "If you wish to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." Meaning, when you stop playing the manipulator's game, they're going to accuse you of being selfish, of being cold, of not caring. They'll try to make you feel guilty. But that's just proof that you're finally breaking free. So, let me ask you, have you ever been in a situation where someone made you question yourself? If you're ready to take back control, drop a comment below and type, "I reclaim my power." And if this hit home for you, hit that subscribe button and stick around. Because next, we're exposing one of the biggest betrayals of all, apologies that aren't real. Let's get into it. Number 4, fake apologies and deception, all right? Folks, let's talk about something that might be one of the most frustrating and deceptive betrayals, fake apologies. Because here's the thing. When someone does you wrong, your natural instinct is to hope they'll acknowledge it, take responsibility, and make it right. But some people, they don't actually want to fix anything. They just want to keep you from leaving, keep you from holding them accountable, keep you in their control. You ever notice how some apologies feel empty, like they don't actually mean anything? Someone hurts you, and instead of genuinely acknowledging their actions, they hit you with, "I'm sorry you feel that way." But that's not an apology. That's manipulation. It's not about the harm they caused. It's about shifting the blame onto you, as if the real issue isn't what they did, but how you reacted to it. And if you accept it, they've just dodged accountability while making you feel guilty for even bringing it up. The Stoics believed in truth through action, not just words. Seneca once said, "Words are the source of misunderstanding. People will say whatever they need to say to avoid consequences. But what truly matters isn't what comes out of their mouth. It's what they do afterward." If someone says they're sorry but keeps doing the same thing, what are they really apologizing for? Think about it. How many times have you had someone look you in the eye and promise to do better, only for them to repeat the same mistake days, weeks, or months later? They didn't change. They didn't reflect. They just said what they knew you wanted to hear. That's how fake apologies work. They create an illusion of resolution while leaving the door open for the same betrayal to happen again. You find yourself in a cycle where you keep giving second chances, hoping this time will be different. But deep down, a part of you knows it won't be. And here's what makes it worse. If you push back, if you call them out, if you demand real accountability, what happens? They get defensive. Suddenly, it's not about what they did anymore. Now, you're being too sensitive. You're holding on to the past. You're making a big deal out of nothing. They flip the script so well that you start questioning whether you're the problem. That's not an accident. That's calculated. Because once they get you to doubt yourself, once they convince you that you're expecting too much, they know you won't leave. And as long as you stay, they never have to change. This happens in all kinds of relationships. Romantic, friendships, even family. Maybe you had a friend who constantly let you down, but every time you called them out, they'd throw a quick, "Yeah, sorry, I've just been busy," and nothing changed. Or a partner who messed up, swore they'd never do it again, and yet, somehow, you found yourself back in the same painful situation. Or a family member who knew exactly how to play the victim every time you tried to hold them accountable, making you feel guilty just for expecting basic respect. These aren't misunderstandings. These are patterns, and the longer you allow them, the harder they become to break. So, what do? You stop accepting words without action. You stop letting someone use "I'm sorry" as a shortcut to avoid real accountability, because a real apology doesn't come with conditions, doesn't include excuses, and doesn't require you to prove why you're hurt. A real apology is followed by change. And if the behavior doesn't change, neither should your boundaries. Walking away from people who refuse to respect you isn't holding a grudge. It's holding a standard. The Stoics believed that we must protect our own peace, because at the end of the day, we only control ourselves. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Oh, that means you don't have to accept fake apologies just because someone wants you to. You get to decide what you tolerate. So, let me ask you, have you ever accepted an apology you knew wasn't real? If you're done tolerating deception, drop a comment below and type, "I demand real change." If this message hit home, hit that subscribe button and stick around. Because next, we're talking about a betrayal that cuts even deeper, when they abandon you in your hardest moments. Let's get into it. Number 5. Abandonment in tough times, all right. Folks, let's talk about something that hurts more than betrayal, more than lies, more than deception. It's the moment when you realize that the people you counted on, the ones who said they'd always be there, disappear the second things get hard. At first, it's subtle. You notice they don't check in as much. Conversations feel shorter, colder. Then, when you actually need them, when life throws something heavy at you, when you're struggling, when you're vulnerable, they're nowhere to be found. No calls, no messages, no support, just absence. And that's when the realization hits. They were never really there for you. They were there for the easy version of you, the fun version, the one that didn't need anything from them. But the moment you became inconvenient, they vanished. Seneca once said, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials." Life will test you. Hardships are inevitable, and the people who truly care about you, they won't run when things get difficult. They'll stand beside you. But some people, they don't want the weight of your struggles. They don't want to be around when you're not at your best. And the worst part is, they'll come back when it's over, when you've already picked yourself up, when you've already healed. When the storm has passed, they suddenly reappear, acting like nothing ever happened. That's when you have to ask yourself, are these the kind of people you want in your life? People who leave you when you need them the most, but return when it's convenient for them? People who love the good times but can't handle the real ones? A person's true character isn't shown in the moments of celebration. It's revealed in the moments of struggle. It's easy to be around when everything is light, when everything is effortless. But when things get dark, when you need support, when you're at your lowest, that's when you see who really stands with you. And if someone abandoned you when you needed them the most, they don't deserve a place in your life when you rise again. Now, let's be clear. No one is obligated to save you. No one is required to take on your pain as their own. But there's a difference between not having the answers and completely disappearing. The people who care about you won't always know what to say, but they will show up. They will make sure you know you're not alone. But the ones who leave, that's a choice. And if someone chooses to leave when you're struggling, they have no right to return when you've rebuilt. Think about it. Have you ever been through something difficult and watched certain people fade out of your life, only for them to resurface when everything was fine again? It's not an accident. It's not a coincidence. It's a pattern. And the hardest part? Letting go of the illusion that they were ever truly there for you in the first place. The Stoics teach us to accept reality for what it is, not what we wish it to be. Marcus Aurelius reminded us that pain and hardship are part of life, but so is clarity. And nothing gives you clarity like struggle. It shows you who is real and who is temporary, who stands with you, and who only stands with the version of you that benefits them. So here's the truth. You don't need to be angry. You don't need to seek revenge. You don't even need an explanation. What you need is to see things for what they are and move accordingly. You don't chase people who abandoned you. You don't beg them to come back. You let them go. Because when you come out stronger, when you rise from the pain, when you rebuild yourself without them, you'll realize something important. You never needed them. They needed you to believe you did. Now, let me ask you, have you ever been abandoned when you needed someone the most? If you're done holding on to people who disappear when things get hard, drop a comment below and type, "I choose real ones." And if this message resonated with you, hit that subscribe button and stick around. Because next, we're talking about a betrayal that's even more dangerous. One that happens in silence. Let's get into it. Number 6. Silent betrayal. You ever notice that some betrayals don't come with loud arguments or dramatic exits? Some betrayals happen in absolute silence. No lies, no shouting, no final goodbye, just a slow, quiet withdrawal, like a tide pulling away before you even realize you're standing in dry sand. That's what makes silent betrayal so brutal. You don't even see it coming until it's already happened. This kind of betrayal isn't about what they do, it's about what they don't do. It's the slow disappearance of effort, the growing distance in their eyes, the way they stop caring, but never say it out loud. You notice the missed calls, the unanswered texts, the way they used to listen but now seem distracted. And when you ask them about it, they tell you everything's fine, that you're imagining things, that you're overthinking. But deep down, you know the truth. They checked out a long time ago. The Stoics had a simple rule when it came to relationships. Don't hold on to something that no longer exists. Epictetus once said, "If someone is able to show me that what I think or do is not right, I will happily change, for I seek the truth." But silent betrayal, it doesn't even give you a chance to confront the truth. Instead, it leaves you questioning yourself, trapped in uncertainty, wondering when things started slipping away. Silent betrayal is painful because it doesn't feel like betrayal at first. It disguises itself as busyness, as stress, as a phase that will pass. You tell yourself they're just distracted, that they'll come back to you once things settle down. But time keeps moving, and so do they, just not toward you. And by the time you realize what's happening, they've already built a life where you no longer belong. And let's be real, this type of betrayal is cowardly. Instead of having the courage to tell you they've changed, that they're no longer invested, that their feelings have faded, they slowly withdraw, hoping you'll be the one to leave first so they won't have to. It's the kind of abandonment that doesn't happen overnight. It's a series of small choices, each one pulling them further away until one day they're just gone. That's why silent betrayal is worse than a loud one. When someone betrays you openly, at least you get closure. At least you know where they stand. But when someone betrays you in silence, you're left in limbo. You're left trying to figure out what went wrong, replaying every conversation, searching for signs you might have missed. You become trapped in the past, while they've already moved forward. So how do you deal with it? You stop chasing ghosts. You stop trying to get answers from someone who has already made up their mind. You stop giving someone space in your life when they've made it clear they no longer want to be there. The truth is, if they wanted to stay, they would have. If they valued you, they wouldn't have let things slip away without a fight. The Stoics teach us that acceptance is the key to peace. Marcus Aurelius said, "Accept whatever comes to you woven in the pattern of your destiny, for what could more aptly fit your needs?" If someone has shown you through their actions, through their silence, that they no longer value your presence, then it's not your job to convince them otherwise. It's your job to let go, to walk away with dignity, to free yourself from the weight of someone who no longer chooses you. Because here's the truth. Silent betrayal says more about them than it does about you. It reveals their inability to communicate, their fear of confrontation, their weakness in handling relationships with honesty. But you don't have to carry their weakness. You don't have to waste your energy trying to revive something they already buried. So now, let me ask you, have you ever felt someone slipping away without explanation? If you're done holding on to what no longer serves you, drop a comment below and type, "I release the past." And if this message hit home, hit that subscribe button and stick around. Because next, we're talking about a betrayal that's even more personal, when someone weaponizes your own vulnerabilities against you. Let's get into it. Number 7. Using your weaknesses against you. All right, folks, let's get into one of the most insidious betrayals of all. When someone takes your vulnerabilities, the things you've shared in trust, and turns them into weapons against you. This is the kind of betrayal that doesn't just hurt. It shakes the very foundation of what it means to be close to someone. Because when you let someone in, when you expose the rawest parts of yourself, you expect them to protect that knowledge, not use it to manipulate, belittle, or control you. Maybe you've been there. Maybe you confided in someone about your fears, your past struggles, your insecurities, only for them to bring those things up in the heat of an argument, twist them into an insult, or use them as leverage to get their way. At first, it catches you off guard. You tell yourself they didn't mean it, that it just slipped out. But then it happens again and again, and before you know it, you start regretting ever being vulnerable in the first place. That's the true damage of this kind of betrayal. It doesn't just hurt in the moment. It teaches you to build walls. It makes you second-guess whether you can ever truly trust someone again. And when that happens, you don't just lose faith in that one person. You start to lose faith in people altogether. The Stoics understood this well. Epictetus said, "Be careful who you share your weaknesses with. Some will use them as weapons against you, not shields to protect you. Not everyone deserves access to your inner world. Not everyone has the integrity to handle your pain with care." And the hard truth, some people are drawn to your vulnerability not because they want to support you, but because they see an opportunity to control you. Let's talk about what this actually looks like. It's the partner who pretends to be supportive when you open up about something painful, but later throws it in your face when it benefits them. It's the friend who encourages you to share your struggles, only to gossip about them behind your back. It's the boss who asks about your personal life, then uses that information to keep you in check. It's subtle at first. Maybe they frame it as a joke. Maybe they act like they didn't realize it hurt you. But over time, you start noticing a pattern. The things you told them in confidence are suddenly being used to make you feel small, to keep you in line, to remind you of your flaws whenever they need the upper hand. So what do? You stop giving your trust away freely. The Stoics believed in controlling what we can, and one thing you can control is who has access to your emotions, your past, and your deepest thoughts. Not everyone deserves that privilege. Trust should be earned, not assumed. But here's the part that stings. Sometimes the people who do this are the ones we least expect. The ones we love, the ones who promise to be different. And when we realize what's happening, it's tempting to give them another chance, to believe it was just a mistake. But here's the truth. People who weaponize your vulnerability once will do it again. Not because they can't help it, but because they know it works. So you have a choice. Stay. Keep explaining why it hurts. Keep hoping they'll change. Or step back. Protect your energy and recognize that someone who truly cares about you would never need to be taught how to respect you. And let's be clear, walking away from someone who knows your weaknesses can be terrifying. They know exactly what to say to make you stay. They know which wounds to press, which doubts to feed. But the moment you stop reacting, the moment you stop giving them power over you, that's when you take your strength back. So let me ask you, have you ever shared something personal, only to have it used against you later? If you're done letting others control you through your vulnerabilities, drop a comment below and type, "I protect my peace." And with that, folks, we wrap up the 7 betrayals you should never forgive. If this message resonated with you, hit that subscribe button and stay tuned, because the next time someone tries to test your boundaries, you'll be ready.